Welcome to Swordcraft Live Battles. We've started the first round here for this Friday night. The forces are being led by the Scourge of Musalon and the Cavaliers of Aris. One of the things I do apologise for at the beginning is this is quite a windy day, so the audio will probably be a bit hit and miss in terms of interference from the wind, but we'll see what we can do. We've got members of the Blades of the North and Wolves of the North. Heading in. And members of the Circle of the Lion and the Drakes of Corgmere. So the fighting's about to start. You can see as they're trying to hold the ground that they're formed up into a line, and it's a bit of a distancing sort of standoff where the longer weapons will try and fight first. It looks like there's some action going on the other side of the field, so I'll head around there. The other side of the field has not been able to hold the ground, so they're retreating out of that bottleneck space. You can see archers from the Black Arrow Syndicate trying to hit into the side of the line, and members of the Order of the Teutonic Knights fighting the mercenaries of the 13th Free Company. So they've managed to regain this corner. However, further along on the flank, they're still falling back. Come on, Paul, you can take him. So you can see both sides of the forces are folding in the middle. This is an attacking force without the yellow sashes, and just over here are where the other line are pushed up to. So very quickly they're going to meet in the middle. So when caught in the middle, those who couldn't escape out quickly were cut down from multiple angles. So there's probably about 300 people on the field tonight. It's a bit lower than some of the numbers due to the cold weather and winter here in Melbourne. And this is the sort of turnout they get each week, each Friday night down here.
For another 5 rounds of that.
Because this is set up more as a sporting event, the aim is to achieve an objective, and then you score a point, you reset, and you start it again. So there are different objectives as you go along.
Covering you and then latching onto any advantage that you managed to get. Rogues. Thank you.
So I'll stay in the middle as this goes on, as they reset and return fired arrows to a sorting pile. So I've tried a couple of different things for this stream to try and have the chat appear in the actual screen instead of alongside, so you can watch it full screen and still see the chat messages coming up. So if anyone would be able to test that, that'd be great. Also, if there's certain footage you'd like to see, just put a message in the chat and I'll see if I can get that there. So if there's a certain warband that you want to see or say hi to, just let me know. That's a good question about the objectives. I will check with a marshal to see what's going on there. A question from the audience. What are the objectives tonight?
We have double banner plans and assassination.
Yep, cool. So for double banner plant, each side will be given a flag, a designated flag or banner, which they'll need to get to the opposition goals or start area. So in this one, there is no true attacker or defender. Either side can score the point, so it's the first one to get their banner to the point. So I assume that's the actual banner for the game? Yep. They also have musicians who are able to give a bonus to their warbands. Thanks for that, Sheena. It's great to see some international LARPers watching what we do here. So you can see again the Blades and the Wolves of the North pushing up to try and break through this point. They're supported, you can see a gentleman there with a band gun. These fire loops of surgical tubing at a maximum strength or poundage. And again, you can see that they're pushing up heavily, and this side here is being forced to retreat. So there's a player that fell over, so they're just taking a momentary pause to make sure the player's safe, and then play will resume. One of the big aspects they try and promote here is that safety is more important than winning. So you'll find that there's the short stops in play just to be able to ensure the safety of everyone as they go through.
We are to die here, or we fucking win!
Sometimes you just have to stand around and look for people to kill.
Very much so!
One of the things you might notice is there's a lot of individual warband banners are out on the field. They are not the same as the banner which is used to score a point for the match. Each warband is able to bring a banner onto the field and in fact get a bonus for doing so. So the ones with individual warband colours will be different from the ones which are just the basic colour. So I assume that purple one is the one on the other side? Yep. 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 If you feel unsafe, jump into the outer area. So the forces of the Cavaliers have been able to push up and get their banner planted in the area. So that means 2 points to 0 at the moment. Hear certain people clanking across the battlefield. There's also another photographer on the field. So do you want to plug where your photos will be put up?
Down the Lens Photography on Facebook.
Excellent. So give them a look as well and see what some still images of the action tonight is going to be like. And the Venators. So you ended up taking the banner yourself?
Yeah. Is that one hand?
That it is.
That's for fittest rank.
Just in case Lee has some orders.
Your warback.
So here we have one of the leading warbands for tonight, showing out in force. So some people are reporting having problems with the chat. Unfortunately, I won't really be able to check what's happening with that without dropping out of the stream. So I might see if someone else can try and have a look at that at half time or quarter time. A witch hunter from the Order fighting aggressively. Again, fighting over... While this orange bollard may not look very immersive, it represents the edge of a wall and is tactically very important to fight around. Now that they've lost that corner, people can come in and charge into the side of the other bottleneck. You! They also have rules for magical healing to be able to get people back into the fighting. Might be hard to see in the light, but there's a glowing cross on the end of that banner pole.
Keep moving in!
With the large numbers such as this, it's very difficult to try and get a truly even battle. So a lot of the time you'll have one force, even if they have numerically the same number of fighters on the field, will be stronger in terms of armor or tactics or coordination, or just a good counter to the type of tactics that the other warbands use. So Nathan, how are the Cavaliers going?
Not too bad as far as I know.
Stomping your way up for, is it point number 3?
I think so.
Yep. Do you think this will be rebalanced partway through? I was just explaining that it's, even if numerically they're the same size, it can be very difficult to balance in terms of tactics and strength.
Most one's going to micromanage another 15 warbands.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. I should go over and have a chat with them. So they've walked the banner up for a third point.
Oh, hey, I have a bad gun.
The wonderful costumes of Chesterwick.
Sorry? Oh.
I got some flying heresy right here. dropping everything. Like my dagger just came out.
William, awesome to have you watching the stream. It's quite interesting to see the reach that Swordcraft has had as people have sort of moved to the country and moved away and moved into state and everything else.
Everyone's going right.
Bit of an uphill battle tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You get that.
Do you think it's going to be rebalanced at halftime?
Oh, at quarter time, I've already organised.
Oh, okay. The main thing is that everyone has fun, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, camera, back, or you'll get killed before the round starts.
I believe we have a banner. Where is it?
We need to.
Go!
There it is.
Everything right. Wheel of death. Wheel of death. Wheel of death. Wheel of death.
So they're trying to push heavily up on one side so that if they slow down the opposition side and are able to punch through, doesn't matter whether they lose the other flank, if they can get to the objective quicker than the other side can get to their objective, then they'll be able to score the point. However, it looks like they're getting sort of slowed and bogged down a bit. They really would have wanted to punch through a bit harder than this, I'm sure. So the other side is not going to hold at all. So when you're a first-time player at Swordcraft, you get a nice big shield and you get an opposing gentleman to help you out on the field. So a player was trying to make a gap in the line. It looks like not anyone followed up, but he still was able to get through. So all this side needs to do is slow down the assault from the forces of Musalon with the yellow sashes, and they'll be able to win the day. Because the banner will be pushing up on the other side of the field. You can see it just heading out over there now, because there's basically nothing stopping them from getting that point. They still need to be careful of not having the other forces punch through. But at this stage, it looks like they're able to hold out fairly well. Even if they were to do a retreat, they'll then easily be able to drag that out for 30 or 60 seconds, enough time for the banner to be walked up to the objective. For whatever reason, the banner hasn't been moved up yet. Maybe they want to drag the quarter out a little bit longer, but once that moves around, they control essentially the rest of the field. In fact, the fighting might be over by the time the banner gets planted. So the banner of the Highwaymen. The orange banner there is the banner of the Bandits of the Black Talon. You got the banner of the Chaos Cult of. Is it Cult of Aruto or Toro?
Cult of Arato.
Arato.
I say it's Warband of Arato.
Warband of Arato. So at this stage, I think it's just waiting for the banner to be walked up the last couple of steps. And then it will be whistle blown for the end of the round. So 3 whistles means end of the quarter. So they'll be swapping ends and trying for the same objective. The aim of swapping the ends is that the terrain may be favourable to one side or the other. Someone else trying to get a bit of footage as well?
Yes, they strapped something to my head. It's footageception, holy shit! Someone's already hit it twice.
So, from what I hear, there's over 50 of the North tonight?
I think there is. Tonight was our promotions night, so we had quite a good turnout.
So that's part of the sort of internal role play that you do as a warband to give achievements to players that put in effort and dedication.
Themselves to kit and fighting, they rank up.
Yep. Awesome to see.
It was good fun.
Chaos swapping for Venators. Okay. Yep. So I've just been informed that due to the relative imbalance of the forces, two of the warbands have been swapped over. So the Venators, which were based off the sort of Polish hussars with the white wings, you can see over in the distance there, have been swapped with the warband of Arturo. So you can see the big group of people over there who are archers who are collecting their arrows from which have been fired during the round. They will be given a warning when they need to head immediately back to their forces so that the game doesn't get unduly delayed. One of the Black Arrow Syndicate who have come down from Ballarat to fight on this fine and brisk evening.
Yeah, it's a little fresh.
You've gone back to your old bow, have you?
I have, yes. Yeah, I was a little bit concerned with the new one without much training on it.
We were chatting earlier, because it's a stronger poundage bow, it shoots a bit differently. And so in the...
Safety over form.
Yep. For promoting safety, we'll be fighting with the bow that she's far more familiar with.
Hold on to it for me.
Yeah, I'll chuck it at the pile. So it looks like someone... The mercenaries of the 13th Free Company advancing into battle.
Right.
Looks like someone's undercover in other colours. There you go. So you can see there's several archers from the Black Arrow Syndicate who are, it's hard to see from here, but they are fighting over what's considered a wall. For this game, because there are limited props while fighting on a sporting oval, there's the bollards with the rope to represent a wall. So they can't be charged down unless they come around this side here. Some of the newer players having a bit of fun.
Okay, so I want you to do a first cut in my left shoulder.
Continue violence until all motion has ceased. So you can see that some of the archers are using a couple of players with shields as improvised barriers to stop them getting shot in return. Here we have the Venators and the Drakes forming up a wall. And the Pirateers de Muerte? No. The pirates that wait.
Marius de Muerte.
Marius de Muerte.
Yeah, my fault. Is that their fault or my fault? I'm still there.
Yeah.
I like that.
So there's fighting on the end here. Even if you're slowly walking forward, it's an important thing to do to try and force them back from that corner where the glaive user is standing. Because once you move around that corner, you can charge out and surround them. So I'll see how long it'll take. So this person on the corner there should be starting to creep around sideways. Yep. Providing a gap. And now this whole side has been flanked and will rout fairly quickly. So often it will take sort of a gap of 1 to 2 meters to have a side of a force which will completely collapse. Live streaming.
Push! Push hard!
So it looks like what happened is that the other flank has broken through and they've started to surround some of the forces there. So that would be the first point for the Muslim forces, I believe. So now they're going to reset again. The second half of the match should be a lot more straightforward, where it's just kill everyone on the opposing side. So it doesn't matter what people do with the banners, it's not game over until almost everyone on one side of the field is dead. They do call the match if there's only a handful of people left and they're completely outnumbered, just to make sure that the majority of the people don't waste their time when they could be up and playing. We have a few members of the Van Warem here on a cold day. A couple of ring-ins.
There's cannon fodder tonight.
Watch Ben run some lions.
So we have members of the Rogues Battalion. Is this a new recruit to the order, or are you just touring?
Just touring at the moment.
So there's a tradition amongst the warbands here that they will let people just tour with them, which is a great thing for players to be able to find the right play style and essentially community or social connection that they prefer within the hobby. There's a lot of them out there, isn't it?
Couple. A fucking couple.
Don't shoot that little girl. It was like a tree here, but over there.
So in a strange fashion, the Blades of the North are hanging back.
Hanging free.
I've got an axe in my car! 2 guys with axes! Keep going! Are you a tree?
So I have the Circular Lion, which is an Egyptian themed based on the Magi. It looks like the Cavaliers have charged into the flank as a counterpoint to where the Order tried to break through.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Some people are braving the cold more than others.
Fuck we that country! Damnation upon them! Hold ground! Do not step back! Hold ground!
Now the Musalon side has had the coterie forces and the Pirateers come in to bolster their ranks as well. So essentially you had a counter-attack and then a counter-counter-attack. Now they have the weight of numbers to push the Cavaliers back on this flank. So I'll try and capture the action as I'm moving back. It can get a little bit hectic. But so that flank has now been routed. However, they haven't noticed that the banner is behind enemy line. So this isn't the end of the round. Someone else can pick up the banner, but it does mean that they can't score a point until someone does.
Oh yeah, focus on me now.
Focus on everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe only their allied side can pick it up. The enemies can't pick it up and throw it in the water. Yeah. So the
Who won that? Who won that?
the Musalon side.
Oh, okay. That sucks.
Yeah. The Cavaliers banner bearer got killed.
Ooh. We lost that. Yeah, we
Yep.
lost that.
So I believe you scored all the points in the first quarter and have scored none in the second. They've scored 2.
Yeah, we're still winning in our hearts.
Yeah.
They've scored twice.
I think they scored 3 times in the first quarter, maybe 4? 3.
How can they have scored?
All right, which side are you on?
Non-sashes. Cavaliers.
Cavaliers scored in the first quarter,
Yes.
and they've scored 2 points now.
Okay.
Yeah. After because there was the side swap at half time, at quarter time. The sneaky one on the field.
Barely.
Anyway,
Trying out some other colours now, are we?
yeah, got to tour a bit,
Yeah.
try them all out.
You having fun tonight?
It's been a good night. Fighting seems very. There's a particular warband depending on which side they're on. That just seems to be the winning. But
I was watching before where there was a stagnant wall fight,
Yeah.
then there was a counter attack by the Cavaliers,
Yeah.
and then a counter attack by the coterie. So there's
Yeah, like I think now
There's
they've opened it up a
repositioning,
bit,
which
it's
is
a lot
good,
better. Like it's a lot more even now, which is good. Hopefully the whole night stays like this.
Yep.
It's because there's a problem.
So it looks like they're about to start for the next round. We have the forces of the coterie. Show them to the fans at home.
People happy to die.
Smile, baby. Camera sense is going on.
Come on. Let's go follow shit orders.
Get
So they've managed to breach past the bottleneck here. So unless that gap is closed, like it is there. However, they hadn't secured this middle section. This middle section here in time. So Frico should move to the side and try and flank in. They're not taking the high risk option, which is a bit of a pity. Because it means that they're going to be counter-flanked. So about 5 members of the coterie have managed to get through the line and are drawing some defenders away. And the rest have gone into a slowly retreating line fight. Trying to avoid the archers at the back of the line. So you can see the far end of the line has wrapped around. So this person here is in danger of getting surrounded. So he's presumably trying to slow down their advance through this space. I'm going to move out of the way to not interfere. There is a bollard border just here. Jake, it'd be great to have you down here from Brisbane for a battle. What you should do is if you come down for Quest, stay an extra week, enjoy our particular weather. So I'm not 100% sure what happened with that one. I think it was probably a point scored from the Cavaliers. I'll just try and confirm.
What's the other spot I told you? What's the other one I told you? Yeah. About the one with the broken arm.
Was that a Cavalier point?
That's a Cavalier
Yep.
point.
And then those gone.
Yeah, because like,
So how are the Pirateers going?
Oh, fantastic. We've got two tourists tonight.
Aha.
Trying out the pirate life.
Well, if nothing else, the loner gear makes them look fantastic. And that's important. Not dead this time. It looks like it's been a far better fight since the side switch at quarter time.
Absolutely, it needed to happen. It made a huge difference. for the night, probably for both sides. I'd say.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not fun being on either side.
Well, it's now nearly equal. No, it's 4-2, I think, are the scores. Yeah. So because this side was very slow to move out of their starting zone, the opposition have been able to advance quite heavily into this space, which is not necessarily a bad thing because it means they'll be more strung out and less protected by obstacles and terrain. Good tactical choice there. Take on Will. That's good.
Actually, I didn't count that.
So that was attempted counter charge from the coterie. You saw one of the officers of the Free Company stepped in the way to take the brunt of the charge so that they could take the hits on the shield and not have some of the other members hit into the side and distracted. And then there was another warband, the Eternals, who came into the back of them. Quite a good tactical choice overall. However, it was the appropriate actions were taken by the other side as well. We have the representatives of the Kurohasu Empire. So you can see the forces here are split by the water hazard. These blue cones here represent a water hazard that you cannot fight through. If you are lightly armored, you can walk through there as if you are swimming. But we have a fight going on one side, which is holding, because it creates a natural bottleneck. And then a fight on the other side. So you can see the Cavalier banner being walked up. One of the rules is that whoever's carrying the banner cannot run in an effort of fairness. Otherwise someone will just blitz through and score the point. They have to walk. They can walk briskly, but they do have to walk towards the objective. I'm not sure. With 3 whistles, that might be the end of the quarter, so that may not have been a scoring point. I'll try and get some clarification from a marshal. So at halftime they do have a longer break, gives people a chance to get some water, have a bit of a rest, recuperate from running around in armour. And while some of the armour is comparatively light, a lot of the armour worn on the field is quite heavy gauge and weighs a fair bit.
Yeah. How are you going tonight?
Not too bad. Cool. Got a few people watching. The first people to comment on the stream were from Singapore and Indonesia.
Oh, sweet.
So we're getting some international. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. So, hi everybody. Enjoy the show.
So I'm going to pause the live stream for the moment. Hopefully this works. If it does cut out entirely, I will start a second stream. But what should happen is that the stream will start up again in about 5 or 10 minutes time when the action starts up again. Okay, and I'm back streaming again for the second half. So this should be showing up as the same stream as before. And we will go on from there. So I think there's still a couple of point lead by the forces of the Cavaliers. However, it is a lot closer. Howdy, Chucky.
Yes, you have a shield. I still don't get too far. Don't look away from
So as that often happens in these games, people are a little bit slower in the second half, getting ready and getting into position. Once they're warmed up, the fighting should be good though. I figured that might be the case, I just didn't want to assume. About ready to start the second half of the fighting. We have members of the Emerald Legion getting ready for battle. So I'll start the recording from the center and see what fighting is occurring and go over and check it out. So has there been another swap, has there?
Yeah, Emerald Senka.
Okay. So just checking with the marshals, there's been an additional swap of warbands. So the Senka, who are in purple, moving across now, have been swapped with the Emerald Legion, who you saw coming over before. So it means the game will be starting fairly shortly. So we've got the new players marching off to fight. A couple of members of the Blades of the North trying to gain some ground. Other members of the Van Warem coming in to assist. However, you can see many reinforcements on the other side. The Emerald Legion and one member of the Rogues Battalion. coterie are trying to charge in. However, the North are already there to block the charge. We have someone who's trying to find a gap, I'm sure. The long spears can be quite a devastating weapon because they can reach so many people at the same time.
No, slide down that wall. Slide down this wall. Down the wall. Slide down the wall. Slide down the wall.
Yep. So we have someone here trying to hold the anchor point at the edge of the wall, but with very little support. So this side has been routed, so the forces of the Cavaliers are just advancing entirely unencumbered.
Stick together.
A valiant effort with just a hammer. Well, you shouldn't have been fighting with the flag or the banner. So you can see the banner bearer here getting involved in the front line. So the lighting on this side of the field is a bit more questionable, but try and get as much detail of the action as I can. So again, numbers have forced this side to fall back. So the Mousillon forces, even with the other warband change, it's still causing a bit of difficulty. So I'll double check if this is a total annihilation or whether it's a single banner plant. Because it looks like they're trying to plant a banner. I'm just... Oh no, it might be... Looks like it might be double banner plant again. Normally they have two different game modes.
I want that banner, man!
Can't have it.
I will take it myself if I must! Come on! Down the right left!
Is this a double banner plant or is this a nice assassination? Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's why I want to go and come together real quick.
Because I asked at the start and someone thought it was total annihilation.
No.
Okay.
I mean, they would think that because usually we have a total annihilation at least once. I'm so glad we don't.
Okay, so to explain the game mode, it is Assassination. The people carrying the the banners are the targets. No matter what else happens in the battle, if that person is killed, the other side wins. So it's the first to kill the other assassination target. Which means being the target and fighting the front lines can be very risky.
I've been hit in the head a few times.
Are you sure it's hits to the head and it's not early onset dementia?
How many years have you known me at Swordcraft, Michael?
The thing is, can you remember how many years?
7. How many head hits have you seen me take in those 7 years?
More than I should admit to.
It's cumulative, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it's about to start again. Everyone's going back to their respective sides after the impromptu drumming circle. So the Emerald Legion have formed up against the new player militia, and the Eternals are on the flank there. However, if they move back, the bottleneck does close down a little bit, so it'll be more tightly packed.
Keep moving, don't step back.
So you can see one side of the line is pushing up aggressively, whereas the other side of the line has been pushed back. It's quite a common situation. If they're not careful, the line might fold around far enough that they actually get fully encircled. So it's harder to see, but you've got the Eldar coming in the back there, trying to cut off their escape and push in aggressively. So it looks like the target was killed. So that would be a point for the Mousillon forces, I guess?
Yeah, I was with you.
No, a point for the Cavaliers. Not 100% sure on that one.
Any higher.
Was that you or the other person getting killed? Okay, the other one died. As I was mentioning earlier with the band guns, these are the loops of surgical tubing, which are used in the different size for the different size weapons.
I'm like, I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. I'm gonna do it.
Of all the people to lose, I'm like, how do I manage that?
Get your asses up there.
Clearing. Edge of the field. So, try and follow one of the warbands around for the entirety of the next point. So if there's a particular warband that you'd like me to follow around, just put a comment in the stream and I'll do that for the next point. There's a request for the Elder. So I'll just need to find, I think they're on the other side.
Can you tie him in a knot? Can you tie him in a knot? And which way are we going?
Okay, so I can see the Elder moving across the field now. So I'll adopt formation in the Elder. And see what they're up to. So it looks like there's 8 fighting for the Eldar tonight. And looks like they're trying to find a gap to punch through.
Keep your shield up, buddy. What's those needles?
So the Eldar try to have a regimented and disciplined fighting style and maneuvering on the battlefield.
One quarter wheel left. One quarter wheel left. Go, Kundo. Next left. Eldar, one quarter wheel right. Two steps forward. One quarter wheel left. Eldar, set legionary. Orelme! Eldar, advance! Retreat!
Long sword, long shield!
Keep up! Get in there!
Prepare to receive on the flank! Pardon me. No retreat!
Long sword, long shield! Long sword, long shield!
Eldar! Left wheel!
So they're trying to move into the back of other forces as they had punched through to where the Eldar started their wheeling maneuvers from, and are now facing a numerically superior line. So they're still bunched up in multiple ranks, trying to squeeze past on an edge, but very little chance at this point. However, they are holding up the other forces from being able to cut through this near side to the center. And they have been surrounded and cut down. It looks like there aren't any more Eldar to follow around, so I'll wander off. Just to explain, I was asking the viewers which warband they'd want me to follow around, and the first person said Eldar. I think that was Jake from DC Queensland.
Well, you want to start with perfection, right?
Yeah, they didn't have any half-elves, so they had to go Eldar.
Get out of here!
So someone also mentioned about Kurohasu, so I'll try and find them on the field and follow them around for a bit. I can't remember which side they were, but there they are. Hey Rob.
Because if it was us.
There's been a request to follow the Kurohasu around for a point.
Okay. All right.
So.
We like our bold strategies.
Charge in and kill people?
Find a glorious death. It doesn't have to be yours.
Presumably, preferably not yours, or you're just.
No, but how can you deny a glorious death? It takes 5 people.
Does that mean if you have a glorious death, you won't go back for healing?
If you're healed, I would argue if you're dead, you have no say in the matter.
Ah.
Yeah?
It would be dishonourable to refuse.
Surely the Carbies were pleased and they want to see more death.
We'll see how that goes for you.
I wish you had followed me last round. This round will probably be going into like 5 pikes and dying.
Last round it was following the Eldar,
Yeah.
so I just joined ranks with them and was marching along with them. And they did one charge in, got surrounded and cut down. They did hold up a flank for a while.
Some crazy Kurohasu shit going on.
No, they're also eventually. This is where you strike a pose. It doesn't matter what.
Everyone, bow to the camera. Oh my God, there's someone.
They have free card now.
Just a swap, yeah. Okay, so it looks like Frico has just been swapped to the opposition without any other warband to replace it.
What? I didn't think we would that. Well, we've only won. Yeah.
It's, yeah, as the Sagas thing, it's, yeah. But it's still 5-2, 5-3, maybe 6-3, yeah. Because you got 3 unopposed in the first quarter. Also, the following you guys around was requested by one of the Singapore LARPers who was watching. So the game should be starting soon. The Kurohasu are a much more mobile force than the Eldar, so I'll try and keep up as they move around the field.
I have killed so many.
So there's a few forces on this side. However, a lot more incoming.
All right, Kurohasu, pull them back. Take a couple steps back, Jared. Come on. Back over. Watch it. Keep this side. Oh! I'm on your side!
So I think that's the last of the Kurohasu as they were fighting. And we have a healer who's going to be kept quite busy for a while, I'm sure. So was that a honourable death?
That was
or glorious death?
Look, fighting an opponent you just can't beat is very honourable.
So we're clearly swimming on Sakura Hasu.
Yeah.
Do you swim like this?
No, save me! No, I got one!
You didn't even get the final
Wait.
chance.
Alright, go. Do it. Hold on. Did I just see the Kurahasu Beach episode? Back in the water!
Now the question is, are you sushi or fugu?
A pufferfish. A little bit puffed, and I'm a little bit poisonous.
Yeah, just.
Right, that's immortalized.
You know who scored a point then?
No idea.
Okay. You didn't hear the whistle blown, that's all.
I heard the whistle blowing. I thought Jack was a flag bearer, but he's a cab flag bearer, not the jet flag bearer.
Yeah. So I believe Free Company was swapped sides without any other warband given.
I think so. I had no idea we were told. Even enough, our one job is to attack the flag.
Yep. That seems a fair job to have.
It's the fun. I only went after the wrong flag.
Old habits die hard. So again, if there's any warbands that you'd like me to follow around, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just wander around and try and show off some of the fighting and some of the nice quality kit that people have here. People put a lot of effort into their costumes and weapons, armor and everything else. Oops. Accidentally changed the camera there. The totally not immersion breaking live stream camera.
I mean, it's historically accurate.
I actually have a video in the works of a documentary about the Chesterwickians at Quest. Yes. I've got to work out what voiceover to put on it.
Dave Attenborough style.
That's the plan.
Brian Blessed.
I can't do a Brian Blessed.
Well,
actually,
voice modulator, right?
Yeah, I'll have to see if there's a plugin.
He's going towards the water over there.
Looks like the older have a different formation at the moment. bit of a gap here in the centre, but as they move forward, they're closing it up. So there wasn't really anywhere for the Eldar to advance into. The Venators are trying to push up as well. They might have the strength of numbers. Although presumably the Eternals are going to try and punch in somewhere to form a gap as a counter-attack. So the wind has picked up a bit, so there's probably a fair bit of background noise, but I'll try and still provide a bit of commentary. So again, the Order have pushed up on the far flank, like they were doing in the first quarter, and are trying to wrap around. They have spread the defenders from the Blades of the North and the Wolves of the North very thin. You can see them basically twice double width in some places. But there are some reinforcements potentially coming in. Nope, they've called out a withdraw. So they are pushing up very aggressively to try and rout the opponents. And they also have some blocking forces off to the side over there to try and cut off their escape. But it looks like they're interrupted by the water hazard. Ah! But they have gotten the assassination target, so I'll try and find a marshal. Brian! The target's dead. Okay. Oh, I couldn't see them. Nice work holding off the Venators. So again, there's the slow walk back to where the warbands are starting from. Everyone getting ready to go out and do it again. There's probably enough time for one more this quarter, and then it'll probably be time to pack the game up. So I'll stand in with Free Company this time and just wander along, march in line, and do all that sort of stuff.
We did it a lot.
Mm.
We hold a lot.
How many viewers you got? How many viewers you got?
At the moment, 7. Yeah. There's the weird thing where Facebook gets more viewers live, but YouTube seems to get more replays.
Forward and left!
So I'll be staying sort of in the second rank-ish of the warband, so I won't be joining the front line and in danger of getting equipment being hit, but I'll try and show how they operate on the battlefield. So Free Company is one of the oldest warbands in Swordcraft, and they have a very disciplined fighting technique based on a lot of training. This is actually the warband that I founded many years ago, and since then it has gone through a couple more captains with specific methodologies in place to allow for a transfer of leadership.
Free Company sword march!
I will.
Free Company hold!
So at this stage they're trying to sort of hold some territory without getting overextended, surrounded. So they need to wait for some other warbands to come up as well, otherwise there'll be gaps for people to charge through.
Thank you!
With this sort of fighting, it's more important about not dying and holding the ground necessarily than actually killing your enemies. Because if you're stopping your allies from getting flanked, that's a hugely important part of the fight. There is, however, a gap here which might be being filled soon. So Free Company have moved up and engaging the new players.
Free Company stepping forward on my command! 4! Birds! 4! Birds! 4! Birds! 4! Birds! 4! Birds! My Free Company! Keep going!
So the command you heard called out before, for Vards, was a technique that was learnt from one of the players who went over to Drakenfest and Mythodia in Germany and picked it up from a group I think called the Linkadia or something very similar to that, and we've adopted it as one of our battlefield commands.
I'm looking at the flag that's behind us. That's why Free Company moving forward and left! Forward and left!
So I'll pull back a little bit and try and show the entire warband as they're moving around. So they moved through some of the forces. Now they're forming up to take on another formation. It looks like one of the targets must have been defeated. Try and go over and find out. So who got killed in that one?
Oh, I might have died.
Just a little bit?
Yeah.
Not too far to that side.
Yes!
So Richard, was that your first time commanding the Free Company line?
Correct.
How do you think it went?
Well, they didn't all get much into water, so not too bad.
Yeah. Do you think it gives you a bit more confidence in leading for other times?
Yeah, for sure. The experience is always nice, and you know, experience is the best teacher. I'm sure you understand that.
Yep.
Having done sword fighting for years.
Yeah, sometimes. Cool. Well, I hope you have a good night for the less than 5 minutes that's left, I think.
Yeah, you too. Yeah.
Oh man, you see it?
No, I was on the other side of the field. I was following Frico. Whoops.
Oh, no.
Reset.
Okay, sorry about that. The stabilizer gimbal decided to turn itself off. So there might be time for a little bit more. Either that or they may just call the 3 whistles for the end of the night. Someone is eager to get the last 2 minutes of fighting in. Okay, it looks like the battery for the stabilizer has run out, so I'll just handhold for the remaining couple of minutes of the fight. So hopefully you've been enjoying the footage throughout the night. I'm going to try and get more of these going as time goes on, aiming for at least one per month. Once it gets back into the warmer months, there will be a lot more light throughout the first half of the evening as well. So I'll try to make sure I share around links for when the next live stream will be. And there might be a few other live streams of various things that I'll be doing as time goes on. So I might live stream some sword fighting training, we've got plans for streaming a D&D game that I'm involved with some friends who are also swordcrafters. So if you keep an eye out on the Professional Hobbyist Facebook page, you'll see all the details of what's coming up. Sword and buckler versus sword and big shield. Alex in the Rus gear is quite an accomplished sword fighter. And oh no, it's dagger and buckler versus sword and big shield. Going for a bit of a challenge. I've fought in the field with buckler and dagger several times, and it is a lot of fun. Hard work, but a lot of fun.
Be careful, Paul! Oh, fuck.
Come on, you got about a minute left. Get stuck in.
I'm being a meat shield.
It's just before 10.
Sorry, Nibby.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
I'm a coward! What?
So that's the end of the night for the battles here at Swordcraft. Hopefully you had a good time watching it, and as I said, I'll be trying to get these more often in the upcoming months, so keep an eye out. Cheers.